Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to pull out the really key insights from important reports and research. And today we've got something filled with, well, a lot of hope, actually. We're diving into the quest for a cure for a rare blood cancer, Waldenstrom's macroglobulinemia. We're focusing specifically on the International Waldenstrom's Macroglobulinemia Foundation, or IWMF, and their really powerful 2024 annual report. Now, this isn't just, any organization. It's driven by patients making incredible progress towards a world without WM. And what really stands out is the personal connection everyone involved has.
That's right. It's a really significant focus today because Waldenstrom's, or WM as it's often called, it's complex, no doubt about it, often a challenging blood cancer to manage. And what's really striking about rare diseases like WM progress often hinges almost entirely on these dedicated patient advocacy groups and specialized research foundations. The IWMF is a critical leader there. They really channel the community's collective drive straight into meaningful action.
That's a great point. So our mission here for this deep dive is really to uncover the most important takeaways from this IWMF 2024 report. We want to explore their vision, which is bold, look at the remarkable things they achieved last year, and crucially, the tangible steps they're taking. Towards a cure, yes, but also better outcomes for patients right now. As we look at that vision, what really jumps out at you as maybe the most ambitious piece they're tackling?
Well, what's immediately clear is their absolute commitment. They're not just talking about managing WM. They're aiming to eradicate it. It's not just hoping for something better down the line. They're actively, building the pathways to actually get there.
And to really get the heart of this organization, you kind of have to hear stories like Paul Kitchens. He's the IWMF board chair. He shared that his own mother was diagnosed way back in the 1970s. Can you imagine? A time when almost nothing was known about WM, virtually no treatments available. She sadly passed away within just a few years, and get this, she never even met another person with the disease. Fast forward to today, Paul's experience, because of the IWMF, it's totally different. And he really emphasizes that promise, you are never alone.
Yeah.
And that's not just a tagline. Every single board member, every volunteer, they have this kind of deep personal connection. They have skin in the game, as they say. And that's what fuels their dedication.
That personal connection is absolutely foundational.
Yeah.
It shapes their whole identity. They're the only global organization solely focused on WM. And importantly, patient-founded and patient-driven. Their vision, simple, powerful, a world without WM, and the mission backs it up. Support and educate everyone affected, improve patient outcomes, and advance the search for the cure. That shared lived experience. It really makes their promise no matter who you are or where you are. With the IWMF, you are never alone. It just gives it so much power.
Right. And that deep personal drive, it clearly translated into a huge year for them. The IWMF calls 2024 a year just packed with positive accomplishments, and one of the biggest headlines, launching their Accelerate the Cure campaign. This wasn't small potatoes. They kicked it off on Leak Day, February 29th, 2024. A really bold move to raise $31 million over 5 years, a staggering amount. The goal, simple. Dramatically speed up progress towards that vision, a world without WM and, the ultimate dream, a cure.
And that $31 million goal, for a rare disease like WM, it's incredibly ambitious. But it's also strategically brilliant. It signals a real long-term commitment, the ability to fund research over multiple years, which is absolutely essential when you're talking about finding a cure. This isn't about quick fixes. It's about building sustained momentum to tackle something really complex. Very sophisticated thinking there.
Yeah, it really is. And what's so inspiring is hearing the confidence from, the top doctors in the field. Dr. Stephen Ansell at Mayo Clinic said, the generous support of IWMF has set the stage for an acceleration of research towards a cure. And even more directly, Dr. Stephen Trion from Dana-Farber Cancer Institute just puts it out there. At the end of the day, do I believe there is a cure in sight for WM? Absolutely. Why is that kind of optimism from these leading researchers? Why is that so significant?
Oh, it's hugely significant because these aren't just, casual remarks. These are the experts deeply involved in the research day in, day out. They've seen the progress, sometimes slow, over decades. So their collective optimism isn't just wishful thinking. It's a belief grounded in real scientific advancements, in understanding WM at the molecular level much better than ever before. It tells you the scientific community genuinely thinks the pieces are starting to fall into place.
Makes sense. But of course, big goals need serious backing. Let's get into the financials powering all this. 2024 was a record smasher for IWMF revenue. They raised an amazing $4,490,494. That's up 36%, nearly $1.2 million more than 2023. And just for perspective, think back a decade, 2014. Their record then was about $1.7 million. This year, 265% higher, about $2.8 million more. What's maybe even more incredible is where it comes from. Roughly 95% of this revenue, directly from WM patients and their loved ones, no government support at all. How does that kind of organic, patient-driven funding model really impact what they do?
Well, that model is incredibly powerful. It creates this direct, almost tangible link between the donors and the research impact. When 95% of your funds come from the people directly affected, it builds this unparalleled sense of collective purpose, collective power within the community. It's like they're saying, look, if we want a cure, it's up to us together to make it happen. And that direct accountability, it just strengthens their resolve.
Absolutely. And all this record funding, it's fueling a bold new strategy. In summer 2024, IWMF launched their updated Pillars of WM Research. They call it their new research blueprint. And the purpose behind these pillars, it's incredibly comprehensive. They want to stop WM before it even starts, reverse immune resistance, target those high-risk mutations, and prevent the awful complications.
Right. And what's fascinating is this all-sides approach. It really reflects a deep understanding of how cures actually get built. It's never just one silver bullet, right? It's a coordinated attack, multiple angles, built, as they say, one smart grant at a time, backed by one determined donor at a time. 5 pillars themselves are really well thought out. First, WM cell biology. Basically, how do these cancer cells grow, survive, interact in the bone marrow, and finding new ways to stop them spreading. Second, T-cell-based therapeutics. This is about advancing immune strategies like CAR T therapy, essentially retraining the body's own T cells to hunt down and destroy WM cells. Third, microenvironmental research, targeting the specific neighborhood, the bone marrow environment, that actually helps WM cells survive and thrive, cutting off their support system. Fourth, genomic research. This is about digging into the specific genetic mutations that can flip WM from being quiet or smoldering into an active, harder-to-treat disease. And fifth, proteomics. Looking beyond the genes at the actual harmful proteins that drive some of the worst complications, things like cryoglobulinemia, neuropathy, amyloidosis.
It's so clear these pillars aren't just, academic boxes to tick. They really are charting a smarter path, a more targeted path forward towards better treatments, better answers, and ultimately that cure. Okay, so having a blueprint is one thing, but how are these pillars actually, coming alive? Let's dig into some of the amazing projects they funded in 2024. See how strategy turns into real science. First off, this Enhanced Roadmap grant. Wow. It's their largest research grant ever, a $1.5 million investment over 3 years. Huge thanks to the Rosen Family Foundation and the Donald and Allison Weiss Family Research Fund for that.
Yeah, this one really is a game changer because it perfectly shows that shift toward precision medicine in WM. It brings together a real powerhouse team, Dr. Zachary Hunter at Dana-Farber, Patricia Mondella at Mayo Clinic. Their work connects the dots between genomic science, what doctors see in the clinic, and actual drug discovery. They're not just looking for a cure, they're trying to understand WM at the individual patient level, uncovering these hidden subtypes, probing that suspect gene, TNF-AIP3, which plays a role in immune cells. The goal: trace the earliest cancerous clones, test targeted drugs to stop the disease before it spreads. That kind of tailored intervention, hitting WM right at its roots, that's the real potential breakthrough there.
Incredible. And beyond that big one, there were several other roadmap grants. Dr. Aldo Roccaro in Italy, he's diving deep into that bone marrow environment, specifically looking at certain cells, mesenchymal stromal cells that might be like coaching the WM cells to survive, his aim. New therapies to cut off WM support system right at the source. And then there's the WM Voice EC study. Dr. Josephine Vos in Amsterdam is leading that. It's international, focusing on what patients themselves value most in treatment. Efficacy, sure, but also side effects, how it's administered, how long it lasts, guiding future treatments and drug development based on patient priorities. What's the kind of collective impact of having these different roadmap grants running?
Well, together, they're really bridging that gap between fundamental science and the practical side of patient quality of life. It's quite holistic. Dr. Roccaro's work is about understanding the disease's habitat, right? Basic science. While Dr. Wunder's project makes sure the patient's voice is front and center in developing treatments, so you're going from the microscopic level right up to patient-reported outcomes. Making sure treatments aren't just effective, but also aligned with what really matters to the people living with WM day to day.
Right. And it's not just these huge projects. The IWMF is also strategically investing in the next generation of researchers. That's where the Kyle Awards come in. These are 2-year career development grants, really designed to support promising young WM investigators, keep that pipeline of expertise flowing, like Dr. Tina Bybertuni in Athens. She's tackling ibrutinib resistance, a big challenge in cancer therapy, by looking for protein biomarkers in blood plasma, the goal. A less invasive way to monitor treatment than painful bone marrow biopsies. And Dr. David Cortes dos Santos, also at Dana-Farber, he's targeting the very earliest stages, IgM, MGUS, smoldering WM, those precursor conditions that sometimes turn into full WM. He's using really cutting-edge tools to find biomarkers that predict progression and hopefully step in to protect patients before WM really takes hold.
Exactly. These Kyle Awards show that dual strategy tackle current problems like drug resistance, but also proactively invest in understanding the earliest stages. That's critical for both today's patients and for long-term prevention. And it's also exciting they're supporting Dr. Philip Garbage at Dana-Farber. He's looking into the role of a specific genetic change, a deletion on chromosome 6 alongside that common MYD88 mutation in driving WM. Understanding those genetic drivers is just key for finding more targeted drugs.
And for really bold, maybe high-risk, high-reward ideas, they have seed grants. These give a quick start, 1 year, $90,000, just to explore potentially transformative concepts. Dr. Jennifer Kimberly Liu at Memorial Sloan Kettering, she's testing a new drug, KT-413. It degrades a key protein, IRA4, in that MYD88 pathway, potentially killing WM cells more effectively, maybe in combination with another drug, venetoclax. And thinking about Dr. Erna Magnusdottir's miniature bone marrow, that sounds amazing, almost sci-fi. What does that kind of innovative approach mean for how quickly we might test new therapies?
Oh, it's truly revolutionary. Dr. Magnusdottir from the University of Iceland is developing these miniature living versions of human bone marrow, they're called organoids, made using stem cell tech. This lets scientists watch in real time, in the lab, how WM cells interact within their natural environment. Compared to older methods, like animal models or just cells in a flat dish, these organoids, they offer a much more realistic and faster platform for testing new drugs and understanding how the disease progresses. It could potentially shave significant time off getting promising therapies into clinical trials.
Wow. Okay, so these grants aren't just future promises, they're already delivering major insights. One of the big highlights from 2024 was a landmark study, published in Blood, which is, the top journal for hematology, by Dylan Gagler at NYU Langone Health, and his project was supported by an IWMF Kyle grant. What made this discovery so important for how we understand WM?
This was genuinely groundbreaking, yeah. Gagler's team discovered that WM seems to actually exist in 3 distinct biological forms, kind of like B-cell-like, plasma cell-like, and then an in-between type. They all seem to start from a specific kind of memory B-cell gone rogue. But the critical part is, each subtype has its own unique genetic patterns, its own cell behavior. The implication, huge. It could vastly improve how doctors predict if the disease will progress quickly or slowly. And even more exciting, it paves the way for much more personalized treatments, tailored to each patient's specific type of WM. It's a massive step towards truly individualized care.
That really is impactful. Now, none of this progress happens in a vacuum, right? You need a strong foundation. The IWMF has really strengthened its board of trustees and its scientific advisors. And beyond them, there's this huge network of volunteers all over the world, support group leaders, folks working on publications, the research committee, the online communities. What makes the IWMF's leadership structure so strong, maybe unique?
What's genuinely unique, I think really powerful, that the IWMF board is this. Yes, they're accomplished leaders, executives, doctors, scientists, entrepreneurs. They bring top-tier expertise, but here's the key. Every single trustee either has WM or stands right beside someone who does. They know firsthand what it means to wait for those test results, to ask the hard questions, to hope desperately for a better treatment or for that cure, that personal stake. It drives their commitment, their professional skills, their financial resources. It just ensures the organization is totally all in from the inside out. A level of dedication you just don't see everywhere.
Absolutely. And with that personal investment, naturally comes huge financial responsibility and accountability, which is so important when you're asking people to contribute. As of the end of 2024, the IWMF put $4.8 million, that's nearly 88% of their expenses, directly into programs. Over 55% went straight to research, and over 32% to information, education, and support for patients and families. Management and general costs kept really lean at under 7%, fundraising under 5.5%, and for your peace of mind, if you're thinking of supporting them, they have that top 4-star rating from Charity Navigator, the big independent nonprofit rater, including a perfect 100 score for accountability and transparency. You really can invest with confidence. Plus, they've already committed almost $6 million, $5,907,959 to be exact, to future research projects already under contract.
That strong financial health combined with that transparency, it just creates such a solid platform for long-term impact, builds incredible trust. And speaking of the long term, the Ben Rood Heritage Society really shows the community's commitment to the future. It recognizes people who planned for future gifts through their will, life insurance, retirement accounts. These legacy gifts have already brought in over $5.2 million through 2024. But what's amazing, in 2024 alone, 31 new members joined the most ever in 1 year, committing over $4 million in future gifts. That kind of forward-thinking generosity secures the IWMF's future for generations. It supports that vision of sparing the next generation from WM. They've identified potential future gifts totaling almost $15 million right now. That's a powerful statement of enduring belief.
Wow. It really has been an inspiring journey through this IWMF 2024 report, from launching that huge Accelerate the Cure campaign, the record revenue, all the way to the really cutting-edge research across those 5 pillars, and underlying it all, that unwavering dedication from a community truly united by this powerful personal connection. It just hammers home that IWMF promise. With the IWMF, you are never alone.
Absolutely. We've seen real, tangible progress toward that vision of a world without WM. From trying to stop the disease before it even starts, to advancing personalized treatments, and yes, that very real prospect of a cure. The combination, that synergy between passionate patient advocacy, smart strategic funding, and genuinely groundbreaking science, it's creating an era of hope unlike any we've seen before for people affected by this rare cancer.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something to think about. Imagine a future where getting a Waldenström's diagnosis doesn't carry the same fear, the same weight it does today. Or maybe even a future where we find early biomarkers and can actually prevent it in some people. Given these rapid advances, we talked about genomic research, T-cell therapies, how might these developments truly transform the lives of future patients? What new possibilities might open up, maybe even beyond a direct cure? And maybe think about how you might connect with or even contribute to accelerating this kind of incredibly impactful progress.